Good evening. This is CTV News for Thursday, May 17th. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Byron Scott. Before the weather, we begin tonight with the latest on the downfall of a once rising political star.
That's right. Prosecutors say he used and sold his office and used taxpayer money as if it were a slush fund.
A federal judge in Greenbelt has sentenced former Prince George's council member and Maryland State Delegate Will Campos to 4.5 years in prison for accepting bribes.
CTV's Sonia Srivastava was in the courtroom during yesterday's proceedings and is joining us now with more on this case. Sonia, it looks like this judge was definitely trying to send a message.
Well, Denise and Byron, she certainly was. And one thing that I do want to point out is that Judge Paula Ennis made it a point, mentioned numerous times, that really stood out to me was the Jack Johnson case, saying that those proceedings weren't enough to deter Campos. From the Maryland State House to now the jailhouse. At just 42 years old, Will Campos was a rising politician. He's been sentenced to 4.5 years in federal prison after pleading guilty last year to accepting $50,000 in bribes in exchange for political favors. In a packed courtroom yesterday in Greenbelt, family and friends came to show their support. Two friends spoke out about how Campos was a role model for young Latino kids. He was seen wiping away tears, telling the judge he was, quote, young and stupid. Campos was on the council from 2017 to 2014, and it's during that time that prosecutors say he misused as much as $300,000 of county money by funneling government grants to business owners in exchange for payments to himself. This case is part of a larger investigation in a scheme that involved politicians who sold their votes for kickbacks in exchange for expanding liquor sales in the county. Now, Campos has to serve 80% of his sentence in federal prison.
I understand the courtroom was packed. Give us a sense of the mood inside that courtroom.
Yeah, you know, Campos had a lot of supporters who came in, many from the Salvadoran community, emotional, lots of tears, lots of disbelief. You know, a lot of people saying to the media, he really didn't do this. You know, why are you guys even here? So I thought that was interesting.
That was very interesting. And you mentioned that in your piece that he was a rising star, as we all know, and a figure, a role model. So what does this mean for that community to see him kind of go down like this?
Yeah, and you know, think about this story. It really resonates with so many people from immigrant groups. He came here as a child from war-torn El Salvador with his mom, who raised him as a single parent. Then he goes to high school, he goes to college, and he is in this position of power. And you know, it's a huge thing for young kids, young Latino kids, to be able to see him in that capacity. So I think that certainly a big disappointment from the people we spoke to. They were very disappointed. And one thing, you know, we brought up in the beginning of the package was that the FBI agents who were in the courtroom, they made it a point too to say that, you know, if politicians in this county think that this can go on, they're wrong.
Right. All right, Sonia, thank you for that insight. Well, our second big story, as heavy rains and thunderstorms continue to rip through the state, the likelihood of downed trees and road closures and power outages increases. State highway crews are already hard at work trying to clear flooded areas and keep streets safe across Maryland.
Our maintenance crews in Prince George's County have been out clearing drainage areas, inlets, and they've also been going ahead and inspecting the roadways, making sure that they're clear of debris so that they have maximum drainage conditions. In addition to that, they're also fueling up their saws, chainsaws, and also pole saws, so if they need to be deployed quickly, they can go ahead and do that. They're also topping out their fuel supply, so just in case that there's any problem as far as delivering fuel is concerned, we'll be good to go. I think that with what we're doing in terms of our men and women who will be out through the storms, we are expected to get some rain well into the weekend. We'll continue to make the roads as safe as possible.
Officials also want people to remember not to touch fallen trees, and they also ask that you not litter because trash can clog drains and lead to flooding.
And the rain isn't going anywhere anytime soon, at least for the next couple of days. So if you're planning to be out, listen up. Fire officials want to encourage motorists to reduce their speed on the roadways. Also create space between yourself and the car in front of you when it's raining heavily.
drive with your headlights on, not so you can see better, so other drivers can see you better. In this type of environment, it's very easy not to see a car without their headlights on. The water's on the road, it's very possible that you can hydroplane, meaning as you're driving down the road and your speed increases, there's less amount of tires making contact with the roadway. And when you hit a puddle of water, you could actually start flying the car and then turn your car over. And that's how a lot of crashes happen.
And in other weather-related news, about 70 Pepco customers are without power in the Riverdale-Hyattsville area. The outages are along East-West Highway. Pepco saying a tree fell onto a utility pole just after midnight, taking down wires and cutting power. The outage is also impacting homes and businesses and gas stations like you see there. Power expected to be restored, they say, by 6 o'clock tonight.